Hello, 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 and welcome to the Good Vibes Lifestyle live stream happening every week. So, what if the darkness of this eclipse tonight isn't about what's being hidden, but what's about to be revealed? With a full moon eclipse tonight and Dr. Stephen Greer's disclosure deadline just 2 days away, we are standing at a fascinating threshold. Welcome to the Good Vibes Lifestyle. This is where we raise our vibration together and thrive. And I'm your host, Leslie Klein. So happy lunar eclipse tonight. I think we're coming upon some big changes. So let's get into the astrology because that's the news as to what's happening. So the sun went into the sign of Virgo this past, the 23rd, which was just this past Sunday. And we have we're in a waxing moon phase at the very tail end of it because we went from a new moon on August 12th to this full moon tonight. Well, it's midnight tonight, exactly when the full moon is, but the lunar eclipse. And depending where you are in the world, it's actually a total lunar eclipse, and it will be a total lunar eclipse here where I am in North Carolina currently. So tonight at 10:33 is when the eclipse starts. It becomes a maximum eclipse, happens at 12:12 a.m. And for those of you who know numerology, you know that 12 is a very great number. When you see double digits like that, it's very impactful and very important. So that's something to check out. And so what's interesting, so we have the sun in the sign of Virgo, we have the moon in Pisces. So we have this access from the two different energies, sun in Virgo, moon in Pisces. And Virgo asks, what are the facts? What can I verify? What needs to be organized? What can I actually do? So that's where the sun is. And the moon is asking, what do I feel? What do I intuit? What exists beyond what I can currently explain? And what am I ready to surrender? So these are the energies and the questions that we're having. And we don't necessarily have to choose between intuition and discernment. We actually need them both. So today, August 27th, this is also when the Sun and Mercury are together. They're conjunct at 4 degrees Virgo. And this is an aspect that astrologers associate with heightened clarity, insight, and mental illumination. Then following today, Mercury then squares Uranus, which is an aspect associated astrologically with surprises. Uranus is surprise energy, unexpected information, and sudden shifts in thinking. So, this is the energy that we're in as this eclipse season closes. And, if we're talking about disclosure, this is a fascinating symbolic backdrop because we have clarity, we have revelation, we have unexpected information, and the need to distinguish genuine insight from emotional projection. This is a very special time we're in. And I'm going to do a guided meditation a little later, which will connect us with this eclipse energy. So do stand by or, wait, stay with us until then for sure. So with that in mind, let's talk about the UFO UAP disclosure developments since last week. So the big news is Dr. Greer's deadline of August 29th in just 2 days. And what I want to do is share the screen and share this document that Dr. Greer had sent on, make it as big as possible here for you. So he sent this letter on June 29th, not only to the president, but to many of the the secretaries of state or acting attorney general, all the different, including minority leaders, people that on the UAP committee, all these people. So he wrote this. This is he called it planned release of further UAP UFO evidence. So I'll read a little bit of this. The disclosure project is in the process of soliciting, and we anticipate we may receive dispositive evidence and proof regarding UAPs, UFO, extraterrestrial intelligence, and covert programs related to them. We can prove that the legal constitutional government of the United States has been subverted by various agencies and corporations for decades, and that these activities include large embezzlement of funds, treason, murder, kidnappings and abductions, human and child trafficking, or other crimes both here in the United States and abroad. He says that we have debriefed over 800 whistleblowers over the last 35 years and have documented these crimes. Evidence of these criminal activities have been handed over to a confidential task force over the last 3 years. These files and cases have also been provided to key members of Congress. And so it's been their conclusion since the 1990s, the mid 1990s, that the various compartmented operations within the government and within corporate contractors for the US government have been run completely illegally, and therefore they have forfeited all national security law protections. Since these programs themselves are illegal and unconstitutional, they cannot cite the National Security Act or any laws of the United States to further protect and hide evidence, information, documents, or material. This became quite clear to me in December of 93 when the director of the CIA under President Bill Clinton assured me in person that neither he nor the president had access to these projects and, in fact, have been actively denied access. And he goes on. But the main point of this is here. Where is it? Here. Where is it? That's where he gives this deadline. Here we go. Okay, therefore, unless otherwise directed within 60 days from the date of this letter, which was June 29th, we shall proceed to solicit further hard evidence and release it publicly, and we are immunized from any prosecution under national security laws or violations. An explicit letter must be received by me no later than August 29th in writing from an authorized official in the U.S. government that contradicts this assessment. If they contradict this assessment, we will challenge it, and since we can prove these programs are being run criminally. Okay, so I'm not going to read the whole thing because, it is rather lengthy and I don't want to get into too much detail, but the bottom line of this is that his deadline is coming up, and if he doesn't get this letter from the government, he's going to release some stuff. So after the 29th, and I think this is very interesting because we've got this eclipse, and eclipses are like triple new moons or triple full moons. And when we're talking about revelation, this is a big revelation. I mean, it's been being, revealed as for a while now. So, but I think people are looking for kind of official announcement or something more tangible. They want to see the bodies and this kind of thing. So that's what's happening. And I'm going to give you Dr. Stephen Greer's website. We did have another tranche of files released by the Pursue office, and that happened on August 7th. That was the 5th tranche. But to be honest, if you want information, go to the dpiarchive.com, which is Dr. Stephen Greer's. It's at least 1 terabyte worth of information on all of the data that he's collected over the last 35 years. So I would point you there to, if you're really wanting to get details and facts. The other thing that happened this week, which was pretty interesting, was that on James Fox's X channel, David Grush actually made an appeal to the president. This happened on August 18th, and this clip is David Grush, who is a whistleblower, if you don't know. He's speaking directly to President Trump. He says he's already provided classified testimony and evidence, and he's asking the president for authorization to publicly discuss what he knows. Here's that clip.
Allied nations and adversary governments in the retrieval of technology of unknown origin. This included photographs and videos of these operations, including the craft and the non-human occupants. And I've seen this evidence with my own eyes, and I've had these discussions with our nation's most senior leaders in a classified environment. I am prepared to provide a full historical accounting to the National Security Council principals and the White House Chief of Staff, and make any supporting public statements that are authorized to help this administration move disclosure forward. Ready to support Stephen Miller, Vice President Vance, and the administration immediately to identify the records, programs, and people involved and bring any improperly concealed activities back under lawful presidential and congressional oversight. Mr. President, give us the authorization and we're ready to go.
So that's the clip here from David Grush. And, so it's very interesting where, he's appealing to the White House specifically for this. In the meantime, in today's Full Disclosure podcast by Danny Sheehan, he talked about episode 4 of George Knapp's interview with Robert Bigelow and Brandon Fugel, who are the owner and former owner of the Skinwalker Ranch. And what Danny is kind of blown away by, he talks about it in this episode, that he's saying that Skinwalker Ranch has a UFO base underground. And he's basically the CTA, the call to action that he gave people watching his podcast was to contact our Congress people at home and ask them to investigate the Skinwalker Ranch. The fact that it's a base that they've identified, he's saying this would be a lot easier to investigate and get to, as opposed to, say, like the suspected UFO, big, huge UFO that is in South Korea. But anyway, so if you want to watch this podcast, go to the YouTube channel of the New Paradigm Institute and check it out. Very good stuff. So just to update you legislatively on what's going on, the Burleson UAP Act is now in the Senate as part of the National Defense Authorization Act. We're hoping they won't change it, but our focus as Citizens for Disclosure is to contact our senators. So about this and encourage them to vote for it, not to change it and this kind of thing. And again, if you're not part of the new Citizens for Disclosure, which is part of the New Paradigm Institute, go to the website, sign up for the newsletter, sign up to be a volunteer. It's free. There's no cost to it. And we need your help. This is a very important time for our, not just the country, but the whole world. We're really in a place, a place of change and choice, I would think. Okay, so I want to talk to you about, so we're talking about activism. Let's talk a little bit more about conscious activism. And haven't done this in a while, but I'd like to, reflect on some definitions. So here is what the definition of activism is. It is the practice of taking deliberate action to create, influence, or resist social, political, environmental, or other forms of change. And that's different from advocacy. Advocacy is the act or process of supporting a cause, proposal, policy, person, or group. So advocacy is making the case for change, whereas activism is taking the action to help produce that change. And, some of the things that are things that activists do are contacting elected officials, organizing campaigns, gathering signatures for petitions, educating the public, speaking publicly about an issue, lobbying or advocating for legislation, also organizing community meetings, writing letters or making phone calls, peaceful demonstrations and marches, using social media to mobilize people, and also supporting or opposing a particular policy. And my last one is, working within an organization to bring change. And, one of the organizations that I love to work with is, of course, the New Paradigm Institute and the Citizens for Disclosure. So one other term I do want to define is conscious activism. So what is that? That is the practice of creating change from a place of awareness, discernment, compassion, and purposeful action rather than fear, anger, division, or unconscious reaction. So conscious activism is, I feel like it's one step above, or it's maybe more intentional. It's turning awareness of an issue or a problem into meaningful action. Really understanding that we create our reality, and in a democracy and with the freedoms that we have of free speech, free religion, free being able to freely express ourselves. If we don't use these things, just like if you don't use your muscle, you lose it. If you don't use your democracy, you're going to lose it. And I think that's why we got into this situation we're in, because we, the people, have not been paying attention. We've given our power over to the corporations and the elites, and here we are. So we got to take back our power. And one thing that I'm really excited about is that, tomorrow is actually the March on Washington 2026, Defend the Vote. 63 years ago, Martin Luther King gave his I Have a Dream speech on the Lincoln Memorial at the mall. And it was actually on Friday, August 28th of 1963. Here, 63 years later, there's going to be a March on Washington again. You can go to this website, March on Washington 2026. And let me go ahead and share the screen. Let's see here. How do I do that? And share this with you just real quickly. So if you're able, this one, okay. If you're able to attend, you can attend. And this is about defending the vote. This is hosted by the National Action Network, which I believe is Al Sharpton's group, and also Drum Major Institute, which is Martin Luther King Jr. or the Third's. There we go. Yeah. Drum Major Institute, Martin Luther King III, and Andrea Walker's King, their organization. So together, the two of them are, talking about the 63 years of marching. So this is something that's very important. This was history. Let's share it here. Here you can go to peoplepowerunited.org. And so if you cannot attend these events, what you can do is watch it live. So if you go to peoplepowerunited.org, you can actually watch all the speeches and things. And Bernie Sanders is going to be speaking, and AOC. So it's really going to be a very, and especially with all that's been happening to our mall and in DC, I'm glad to know that people are coming back and taking back their, our national mall, our District of Columbia, right? So, Dr. King spoke about a future that did not yet exist, as though it was something humanity could consciously move towards. And that also raises a fascinating question for all of us. What kind of future are we imagining today? Because, this has to do with collective consciousness and creating the world that we want, really. So let me take this off the screen and let's get into. So one of the things, ways we imagine is, practicing imagination, practicing those things. And in meditation, that's one way that we really do practice what imagination and visualizing and that kind of thing. But before I get to the meditation, let me quickly talk about the disclosure dialogues. We had our 11th one last night, and it was awesome. So if you want to check it out, go to this tiny URL. I will put it in the description. Also, Botanica brother, hello, greetings. I didn't get an email from you, and I was watching this show, and I see that I didn't put my email didn't go on the screen, so I'll put that up there in just a minute. Okay, so you can check out Disclosure Dialogues, which was very good, and also we have the Galactic Good Vibes series. So if you're enjoying all this talk about consciousness and you want to know more about experiencers, check out this playlist. It's tinyurl.com/playlist, capital GGV for a good Galactic Good Vibes. And I've got 3 episodes so far with experiencers, and I have more coming. So check it out. It's, it's really a wonderful program. I'm really pleased with how the experiencers are sharing their different experience. I'm learning so much, and I know people watching it are learning so much too. All right. So one of the fascinating questions raised by the discussion is whether consciousness itself could be part of how radically different forms of intelligence communicates. This idea that telepathy, consciousness, is how we communicate amongst not only the humans, but different species, meaning NHI species, non-human intelligent species. So, okay. All right, so it's time for our guided meditation. And let me get the music started, and we will get into a meditative state. So if you're able to, you're not driving, you are in a safe space and can do this meditation, please do. And you can always come back to it and watch it, at your leisure. Now, this meditation, guided meditation, is about the eclipse tonight. So it would be great to re-listen to it around the eclipse time or tomorrow, whatever works for you. So now take a comfortable position and allow your body to become still. Close your eyes if that feels comfortable, and take a slow, deep breath in through your nose and gently exhale. Again, breathe in and release. And one more time, breathing in deeply. Allow your shoulders to soften. Relax your jaw. Let your hands become loose. And simply notice that for these next few minutes, you don't have to figure out anything. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to know what is coming. You can simply be present. Tonight, we are moving through the energy of a powerful full moon eclipse. An eclipse temporarily changes what we can see. But remember, what is hidden from our sight has not disappeared. It is still there. And sometimes the temporary darkness gives us an opportunity to see something differently. Now imagine yourself standing beneath a beautiful night sky. Above you is the full moon, bright, luminous, and whole. Slowly, the shadow of the earth begins to move across the moon. And as the light changes, allow yourself to become aware of anything in your own life that may be ready to come into greater awareness. Perhaps it's an old belief. Perhaps it's a fear. Perhaps it is something you have been avoiding. Or perhaps it's simply a deeper knowing that has been quietly waiting for your attention. You don't have to force anything, just observe. Breathe in and breathe out. Now bring attention to your heart and ask yourself gently, what do I already know? Not what someone else has told me, not what am I afraid might happen, not what I desperately want to be true. What do I know within myself? Allow the question to settle and breathe. Now imagine a soft light surrounding your heart. With every breath, that light becomes a little brighter. It represents clarity. It represents discernment. It represents your ability to remain open without losing your grounding. Say silently to yourself, I am open to possibility. I am grounded in reality. I trust myself to discern what is true for me. I do not need to fear what I do not yet understand. And I do not need to believe everything I hear. I can remain curious. I can remain discerning. I can remain open. Take another slow, deep breath. And as the eclipse shadow moves across the moon, imagine any fear, any confusion, any attachment beginning to move out of your energy. You don't have to fight it. Simply allow it to pass. Just as the shadow passes across the moon, this too can pass. And now imagine the moon beginning to emerge from the shadow. The light returns, clarity returns, and perhaps you can see the light was never actually gone. It was simply temporarily obscured. Allow that understanding to move into your own life. There may be things you don't understand yet. There may be answers that haven't arrived. There may be information that has not yet been revealed, and that's okay. You can meet the unknown with curiosity instead of fear. You can listen to your intuition while remaining grounded in discernment. You can allow truth to reveal itself in its own time. Now take one final deep breath in and slowly exhale. Bring your awareness back to your body. Feel your feet. Feel the surface beneath you. Notice the room around you. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes. Carry this with you. Stay open, stay grounded, stay discerning. And remember, you don't have to chase the light. The light is already within you. So welcome back. I hope that was helpful. I know I'm going to do the meditation again tonight. Yeah, it's a powerful time that we're in, right? So let me share. We have Botanica Brother wanting to make some comments. He says he had an experience years ago in which he observed his body lying on a glowing white table while some robotic moving grays were using tools to manipulate something in his chest area. He says, my chest at the time was opened and bright white light was coming out of it. Does that sound like it was an actual experience or just a dream? Well, Botanica Brother, I can tell you this from what I know from experiencers, because I'm not yet an experiencer, or at least I haven't remembered any memories of it. When we communicate with the ETs, it can be done either in a dream form or it could be physically that we go to the ships. And they're both equally relevant, equally impactful. Our thoughts are things. So I would say to this question that it probably was an actual experience, although it might have happened in a dream form, or you might have just remembered it as a dream, but it was a real experience. Some of the experiencers, did you notice any marks on your body? Any like, like needle marks or any bruises or anything like that? That would tell you it's a real experience. So, I can tell you for sure, yes or no from me. But just to know that sometimes we do have these experiences, they take us in the astral form. It's our astral bodies that's traveling, and that's why it seems like a dream. So I hope that answers your question. And we have from Bridget Briggs, she says, thank you, happy eclipse, and be the light. So that's a beautiful way to end the show, although I'm not done yet. We still have the oracle message. So let's go. I'm sorry, we're going long today. And yes, let's have our oracle message right now. And yeah, now that we've kind of calmed down not calmed down, but gotten kind of in tune with our inner self with this meditation, we quieted the mind and opened our heart. Let's see what message Spirit has for us this week. And this week I'm going to use a different deck. This is the Wisdom Oracle Pocket Deck by Alette Baring Reed. Wisdom of the Oracle Pocket Deck. So this is the one I'm going to use this week. And let's ask the question, Spirit, what is it that we need to know most about this eclipse? Let's ask specifically, can you give us some insight into what is going to be revealed? And the card I picked is 21, and that says, clean it up. So here, if we can see it. There we go. Clean it up, 21. Getting to the core of a situation, freedom from a burden, cleaning house, sweeping away what is no longer needed. Very interesting. The Oracle's message, ever feel so bogged down with emotional gunk that you can't think straight? Could you be surrounded by physical clutter in your home also? Too much work, overwhelmed? It's time to clean house. Every item out of place matters. Every item out of place natters away at you. And with a natter, natters away from you. Every unresolved resentment, every comparison to others that leads to a sense of lack, takes up energetic space. Every unpaid bill just adds up to an unnecessary feeling of being overwhelmed. Now is the time to free yourself by energetically cleaning house. Just do it. Make room for the miracles that are lining up for you. So that is her message. I'm not going to read. She has, like a relationship message, prosperity message, protection message, but that's the general message for this. And yeah, it is true. Eclipses have a way of, clearing things out. We want to clear things out, when eclipses happen. It's very important. So hopefully that message. Um, hmm. And Botanica Brothers, he's saying that no marks, but his family and I have periodically observed UFOs in the Boston area during the late 70s and 80s. Very interesting. And you're welcome. And oh, here, before I forget, I had promised, or good-vibes.tv. This is my email, and Botanica Brother, last week you asked me to give you a reading, and I didn't want to do it here on the show, but I'd be happy to do it in like via email. And so I sent you my email. So send your question to my email there, and I'm opening that up to everyone else. Now, did I not put it on the screen? What am I doing? What happened? I thought I created. Oh, I see. I put it in the chat. I mean, lives.tv. Okay. Here we go. So Leslie at good-vibes.tv. So that's the website or the email that you can send me, Botanica Brother. You're very welcome. All right, my friends, let's continue on here with the show. So that was the oracle message. And last, I've got for you the tip of the week to raise your vibration. So last week's tip of the week was to keep an eclipse journal. All right, okay. Keep an eclipse journal. And what we were basically supposed to do for the last 8 days, keep 4 columns. What am I noticing? So what is catching my attention? What am I feeling? What emotions or sensations are coming up for me? What am I learning? What is this experience showing me? And then what energy am I choosing? How do I want to meet with what comes next? So basically, those were the 4 prompts to to work with in this eclipse journal. So the eclipse is tonight. So if you want to just do it before the eclipse tonight, you can do this tip. That will work. But other than that, what I wanted to do was share with you this week's tip of the week, which is practice discernment without closing your mind. And so this is another type of journal prompt practice. And we're going to use 3 columns where, so when something comes at you that's emotionally powerful, comes to your awareness, you want to ask yourself these questions and journal it if you can. What I know. You want to list what are the facts, the evidence, the direct experience. Then in the next column, you want to write what I believe. What is your interpretation of these facts? And then the third prompt is what am I open to? Possibilities that you don't yet have enough information to confirm. So the idea is being open to other possibilities and practicing discernment, right? This is a way to practice discernment. So you don't have to reject a possibility simply because you can't prove it yet, but you also don't want to treat a possibility as a fact simply because you want it to be true. So as we're moving through this eclipse, let's stay open to possibility. As we move through this eclipse, let's stay open to possibility, grounded in truth and discerning in what you believe. Keep imagining a better future because collective change begins with us. So that is my show today, my friends. And if you've enjoyed the show, please like, subscribe, and share with a friend. And I hope you have a wonderful eclipse tonight. Open yourself out, do this meditation again, and see what is being revealed. So take care, and I will see you next week. Peace out, everyone. Take care.